very, I would say, clever way of telling people that in prison you will have very limited resources. You're not going to have everything you would like to have. And also, you will have very limited interaction with other people. Maybe the loved ones will see you once in a very long while, and that in itself is could be traumatizing to you if you care about your family, but also it could traumatize the family as well. They are going to be really uncomfortable. Thank you for such a valuable contribution again, Brother Bingi. Again, a question to you. Prison is known for the risk of violence and intimidation. These two aspects are very common in many, many different prisons. Would you like to maybe give us some insight in relation to that aspect, violence and intimidation in prison?
All right then. So what I would like to say is you got different levels of prison. You've got cat A, you've got cat B, you got cat C, you got cat D. Cat D being the less prison where you're not going to really find no problems within a cat D, because most of the people in a cat D prison, which is an open prison, are what they call good prisoners who have shown themselves to be trustworthy, less likely to run away, um, and basically abide by prison rules. Then you've got Cat C, which is a semi open prison, which is the people who they're a risk they're a risk to the problem, but they need less um, security to hold them. Then you've got like a Cat B, which I spent most of my time in, which is like Armley Prison in Leeds. And Armley, anybody who knows Armley Prison will know that Armley has one of the baddest reputation for violence and drug related incidents within the prison. And also, what some people fail to realize, you've got people who come to prison because of their mental state, they start self-harming. Because a lot of people do not like being banged up in a cell, an 18 by 8, I think it is, room for 23 hours. So if you think about it, regardless whether you've got a TV in your cell and your bed, remember you've got a cell where you've got to eat your food, you've got your toilet where you're going to use to do what you've got to do. And also you've got one person in that cell with you, which you might not get on with them, but you've got to get on with them. They might have two different cultures. You might be completely two different people. One person might be dirtier than the other, which then can lead to violence. Because a lot of the time, I think it was, from what I can remember, 60% of the incidents of violence in prison is between what they call cellmates. This is me sharing another cell with somebody else. 60% of the violence is between people who live together, who have just automatically got into a fight because they cannot get on. Because you've got to live in a close environment with somebody who you probably don't like. You might have thought you did like them until you got bang up with them, and you realize that, listen, I don't like your attitude, I don't like how you're behaving, which can lead to violence. Then you've got the other issues, like you've got these postcode war thing where you've got people who are coming into the prison who might come from different areas of Leeds or different areas of Bradford, different areas of Huddersfield who don't get on, and know you're being put together in prison. 99% of the time, these people are going to meet at some stage, whether it's on the visits, whether it's education, whether it's work or just on a wing. That's going to lead to violence. I've seen people get hot water thrown on them, which is they boil the hot water and they put sugar in there. So when the hot water gets thrown on you, it sticks to you. That's like throwing acid in somebody's face. There's things like that. I've seen people who have walked up to somebody with what you call a bed leg and just smash it into somebody's head and continually beat them until the officers come. That's the kind of violence. I've seen people put socks I'm sorry, I've seen people put pool balls in a socks and walk up to somebody and smash somebody's head in with it. Those are the kind of things. There was a guy who I knew in Lindorm. I didn't even know it was killed. He was called Jamal. It was from London. I met him briefly when I was in Lindorm, and I heard that he met up with some of his enemies in Lindorm. They stabbed him up and flung him over the balcony, which is like 30-foot balcony. He was killed in Lindorm prison. And some people forget that these are the realities of prison. So when I hear people say that prison is like a hotel, that is people glamorizing prison because they do not really want to tell it. No, nobody who wants to play the tough man, the thug, the rude boy is gonna go outside, or when they make a phone call, tell the friends that they're being bullied, that they're being taxed, that they're being intimidated. Everybody's going to play the Mr. Big. They're not going to tell the truth. Nobody's going to say that they've been crying in the cell because somebody's come to them and taken the trainers or the Xbox or most of the clothes. Nobody's going to tell the truth about somebody coming up to them because these are all things what happened. And I know personally these things that happen. Will come up to you and know that you've got no vacative, you've got no strength, you've got no reputation, and come over and every week you got to buy them things off of your canteen. And I'm saying and share. These are the realities of what prison life is like. But nobody comes out and tells it. The only people who tells you about them is the people who are doing the intimidating, the bullying, the taxing. These are the only people who will probably talk about it, but nobody's going to talk about who is being a victim in prison because nobody wants to play the role of being a victim. And there's many, 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 many. My role in prison, I was a mentor. So on my wing where I was, there was none of that going on because I used to make sure that these things never, me and two other mentors used to make sure that there was no taxing, there was no drug use, there was no drug abuse, there was no intimidating on my wing where I was at the time. But and my wing was the only wing that had the less violence in the prison because what we did, we asked for a thing what they call enabling environment, which means it's the prisoners who helped to police the wing. Because if we're going to live somewhere, we want our wing to be like a community where there's no intimidating, there's no bullying. Everybody helps everybody out. If there's somebody who's short or something, we'll help them out. We don't tax it. We don't go into people's cells. So that's all the kind of thing we had on our wing. But on the other parts of the prison, there was taxing, there was bullying, there was intimidating, and there was violence non-stop. That is the reality of prison and violence.
Oh, thank you for painting for us a real picture of life in prison because, as Brother Omar said, some people would glorify prison as if it is a good place. But we are glad that we have first-hand experience here, and he's giving us the real picture of life in prison.